I have these two camping cooler slash freezers that are very similar in size, very similar in specs. So the Dometic I got for like 500 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. I think they retail new for more like 800 or something like that. And this Iceco cooler down here, I had sent to me from Iceco themselves to do a review on. So I've been uncertain of which cooler is better and which one I like more, so I figured the best way to test them would be to just do a shootout. And I have this EcoFlow battery here that I've been using for all my camping trips. And my plan is I'm just going to plug them in one at a time and start a timer and just see how long it takes to drain this battery. So hopefully that'll give us some insight into if one of them is more insulated or if one has just a better efficiency, or if the condenser is better in one or the other. And both just use the DC power and then set it and forget it and kind of just turn it off and walk away. So I'm going to start with the Dometic, plug that in, start a timer on my phone and just kind of test it. It should take a couple days. Let's start that now and see where we end up. Each one of these refrigerators is empty. All right, we have power, and I'm gonna set each one to, just go really cold. I'm gonna set each one to 25. That's pulling about 40 watts. And it's set to 25 degrees, and it's empty. So let's start the timer. And just to do a sound comparison, here's what the Dometic sounds like right at this vent here. It's been exactly 24 hours and we're down to 64%. Still holding great. I'm gonna open it. Nice and cold. Close it back up. We're about 50 hours in. 27%, still going strong. Just checked the EcoFlow app and it has officially just finished draining, and the total time was just under 61 hours that this battery powered the Dometic fridge. This is the EcoFlow River 2 Pro. So with that, I'm going to recharge this back up to full and then flip the fridges so the Iceco's on top, and then just run the same test again and see if the time changes at all. So let's recharge it and do that now. Just got the battery charged back up. It is at 100%. So let's get this plugged in DC, just like the Dometic. So that's plugged in and turned on. And boom, on comes the Iceco. And let's set this temperature down to 25. There you go, you hear it kick on. And there it goes. I think the Iceco is a little bit louder, as you can hear. But we'll see if that extra little volume adds to the efficiency. Pulling just about the same amount of watts here, so it might be a very similar test, but we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer now. We're about at the 24-hour mark of the Iceco being on. And we're down to 60% on the battery, and we are still at 25 degrees. Just gonna open everything. Light's good, nice and cold, still working great. So I just came down here to check in on the battery, and I'm not sure how long it's been like this, but it has 7% left. But over here I noticed that the temperature of the Iceco is, oh, it's like easy. What the heck? Yeah, it's some error. So yeah, it must have auto turned off because the battery protector, which I had set to the lowest one, probably auto turned it off. So that's my guess. Let's check the time. I've been using my EcoFlow app to check this, and I kept seeing it was getting lower and lower. Last I checked was maybe 2 hours ago, and it was at like 15% or something like that. So it's still been going down, and the fridge has still been on, but we're just at 55 hours right now. Which, if we're considering this a depleted battery in that case, even though it's got a little bit more left on it, that would mean that the Dometic lasts longer. I think the Dometic definitely wins in efficiency in that case. I will notice that the light is still on, so the fridge is still receiving power. I don't know if it's draining anything to keep that light on. Oh, here we go, just turn back on, it's at 43. Oh, condenser just kicked on and off. That's interesting. Now that the test has concluded for the two of these, I have kind of come up with some pros and cons for each, or why one might be better for you than the other. First, I'd like to say I reached out to Iceco, and they said that that E2 error that I was experiencing was normal and expected. And what that means is that the battery was trying to send more power than it had left stored up in it. So that's what was causing that issue, and I recharged the battery and plugged it back in, and that was totally fine. So first of all, I'm going to start by throwing up a graphic on the screen of just some of the specs, the differences between these two fridges, and I'm just going to lay it all out what's on the website itself so that you can kind of see which fridge has what specs if that is important to you. So I'll share that now. In addition, I've made a pros and cons list that I'm going to run through. And I can put a graphic of that up on the screen as well. Basically, the main pros and cons come down to the Dometic is a little bit more efficient. It lasted a little bit longer in the test. So if you're really running on a low battery or a small amount of battery and the fridge needs to be on all the time, the Dometic might be a slightly better option for you. So that's a pro there. A con of the Dometic is it is more expensive. Retail, this fridge goes for about 800 bucks. The Iceco is about 700 bucks. So you can save some money if you want to go with the Iceco. Another pro is the Iceco is bigger. It has more capacity, so you can fit more stuff inside of the Iceco. A big pro of the Iceco is the lid. This thing is so cool that it opens from both directions. That is huge. Not to mention you can also take the lid completely off. So if you're chilling at camp and you just want to have like a beer cooler that people can reach into and grab all the time, you can just take the lid right off. That's a huge pro to me. Another massive pro that goes to the Iceco is the basket design. So the fact that this entire basket lifts out and allows you to get to the under part of the fridge is huge. The Dometic doesn't have that. The Dometic has the basket split vertically so that you can store stuff here, you can store stuff here, and you can store stuff here, which is not ideal because if you have stuff stored at the bottom, then you have to dig all of your food out individually in order to get down to the bottom. In terms of the controls, I think the Dometic wins. The Iceco does have this extra port, which is a pro for me, but the Dometic has this cool LCD screen with little navigations and things like that, which is great, whereas the Iceco has these like kind of clunky buttons. I do like the handles more on the Dometic, these like spring-loaded kind of like beefy handles win to me over these sort of plasticky handles. One pro, if you do buy the Iceco new, it does come with an extra handle, so if the handle ends up breaking or giving you trouble, you can replace that in addition to these corners. It comes with extra corners too. Another pro of the Dometic is that it has phone compatibility, so you need to pair it to a Wi-Fi signal that the Dometic puts out, and that will allow you to control the Dometic from your phone, which is a nice feature. The Iceco does not have any Bluetooth or phone functionality. Yeah, and I think that's mostly it. One of the other last things I'll say is the Iceco is a little bit louder than the Dometic, so the Dometic has a little bit more of a quieter condenser. I will say out of all these pros and cons, there are great use cases for both of these coolers. If you have like a big RV or if you are even using a cooler or fridge as a permanent AC connected home deep freezer or something like that, I would much prefer the Iceco. I think that thing would do a lot better. It'd be great for a rig that doesn't really need to worry about power as much. The more space, the basket design, and the lid, I think are huge takeaways for me, which are super crucial to this design. So I would absolutely go with the Iceco in that case. If you have a truck camper like my setup, where you're worried about weight and space and battery consumption, you might want to lean more towards the Dometic. Even though it does cost a little bit more money and has some of those cons that I was outlining earlier, I think it does work a little bit better for our needs based on the power consumption, the weight, and where it's going to actually sit in the rig. That said, again, I think the price is a huge defining factor. The fact that you get more space and a better design with Iceco for cheaper is kind of a no-brainer if that's the route you want to go. And if you do want to get an Iceco fridge, I actually am able to offer 12% off to viewers who are watching this video, which is great because you can go get a cheaper cooler and I get a little bit of a kickback from that as well. So everyone wins, which is really sweet. So if you would like to go check out Iceco and see what they have available, please take a look at the link in the description. I'll link it in the top corner as well. It would help support the channel and it helps you get a really awesome cooler as well. So all that to be said, I hope this was really informative for you and helped kind of outline these two decisions that you might be juggling. Feel free to leave a question in the comments or something like that. I'd be happy to answer if you have any questions about it. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more camper related content coming up in the future.